Are we live? Dun 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 dun. Hello and welcome back. First off today, Georgia Cappleman, 2023 direct examination of Wendy Adelson. Is that how you spell your own name? Congratulations, Wendy. You have just won $100. Every answer she gives is like she's talking to a quizmaster. And when did you marry Professor Markel? We married in... I just finished my undergrad. And then 2000 of... the fall of 2004. Nuts. But Georgia Cappleman definitely turns up the heat here. This is the first time that the defendant in the case that Wendy is giving testimony in is actually a family member of hers. The net is closing in. It's like Indiana Jones when the walls are just getting smaller and the big spikes are coming through the bricks. Yeah, that's what it's like, being in the jaws of the bull, of the southern bull that is Georgia Cappleman. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Just a word on Georgia Cappleman. She's one of those people that if you see the side of her head or the back of her head, you imagine that she looks quite different than when you see the front of her face. And when you do see the front of her face, I think she's pretty hot, you know. And I think one of the reasons for that is because she's got balls, man. And she's prepared and she knows where she's at. She's not intimidated. I'd love to know what her background is. I'd love to know what her childhood was like, what her father was like, what her mother was like. You know, I'd just love to spend an entire holiday weekend with Georgia Cappleman, having cookouts in the yard and, you know, going to the pig race, the annual Tallahassee pig race where they race the pig right into the swamp. I think it'd be fantastic. Good, wholesome Southern fun. Or maybe just like go to a barbecue restaurant with her and have some brisket and some greens, some creamed corn, man. Do you think she's a good cook? Maybe she's too busy with the case, but I bet if she did cook, she'd be a great one. Anyway, guys, couple of notes on production values. We're doing our best at the moment with what we have. We don't have a microphone. We use the little microphone that's inside the laptop, but perhaps the time has come to invest in some kind of microphone. Does anybody know what that should look like? I mean, can I get one that just plugs into the computer or what? Send me a link to a good microphone for like, I don't know. How much do they cost? Like $100 or euros? Flying the flag for Europe here. Well, let's just jump straight into the video, guys, okay? It's a damn good one. Georgia's turning up the heat, squeezing the blood out of Wendy's fake neck. And Wendy's got to play a bit of a different character here too. She's now got to play shock that her brother could have done this, but she doesn't really believe he did. And, that wasn't really taken much into question in the last two trials, apart from Christopher DeCoste, which we covered a couple of days ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, check it out on our channel page. Anyway, I don't know if this I've got the law and crime version of the video here, and do please let me know if my audio, the microphone audio, sounds roughly the same level as the audio on the actual video of the courtroom, because I know it can be annoying if my voice is really loud and the courtroom is really not loud. Quiet. Now everybody quiet. Where is the button? We have to switch. Share this tab instead. Okay, we're going to dive straight in, guys.
Affirmative testimony you're about to give will be true. You may see.
Ma'am, please say and spell your name.
Wendy Adelson, Wendiadelson.
Where are you from, Ms. Adelson?
I'm originally from Coral Springs, Florida.
And where do you live now?
I currently live in Miami.
How are you employed?
Now kind of part-time. I do asylum work and I fundraise for nonprofit organizations.
Are you an attorney?
By training, yes.
Okay. How long have you been a member of the Florida Bar?
Since I graduated and took the bar in 2006.
And are you here today pursuant to a subpoena?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that subpoena confers use and derivative use immunity to you, so nothing you say could be used against you in the future.
That is correct.
That doesn't mean you have full immunity from prosecution, but nothing you say here and nothing derived from it could be used in that prosecution. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding.
Did you know Daniel Markel?
Yes.
How did you know him?
We were married.
When did you meet Mr. Markel?
We met in the fall of my second year of law school, so fall of 2004.
And where did you meet?
And I was looking into a summer job in Washington.
When did you get married?
In February of 2006.
And when did you live here in Tallahassee?
We lived in Tallahassee my third year of law school, so from August of 2005 until I think around maybe May or June of 2006. And then we moved to Miami for a year because Danny was interested in working at the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. He did not get the job at University of Miami, and so we moved back here in 2007 and lived here until 2014.
Where were the two of you employed during the time you lived here in Tallahassee?
I was employed at the FSU Center for Human Rights, and Danny was employed at FSU Law School.
Were you both professors at FSU College of Law?
Yes.
And were you living on Trescott Drive at that time?
When we were married, we lived, I think we rented a house before that, but at some point, maybe in 2008, we moved to Trescott Drive.
And is that the home that he was still living in at the time that he was killed?
That is correct.
Okay, and you were no longer living there, is that correct?
I was no longer living there.
All right, at the time he was killed, you two had children together, yes?
Yes.
And how many children did you have?
We have 2 children.
And what are their ages now?
They are 13 and 14.
What about at the time of their dad's death?
At the time of their dad's death, they were 4 and 3.
When did you separate from Professor Markel?
In the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
I can't wait to do some kind of video on Charlie Adelson's facial expressions. I mean, what is he trying to convey? You know what it reminds me of a lot of the time during his appearance in the court when he's not on the stand? It's like he's been called into the headmaster's office or the principal's office at a private school, and he's been caught. I don't know. He's always been being in trouble, but he's always getting out of it, and he just puts on this face and says, "No, it was wrong," and what we did was immature, and I now have a mentor, and I want to become head boy, and my father will make a donation to the school, and it's this, like, if you look really guilt ridden, like, or maybe not, maybe he doesn't want to look guilt ridden, but you know what I mean, sort of eyebrows doing that puppy dog thing, furrowed brow, downturned mouth. We're really sorry, Mr. Principal. It won't happen again, Mr. Principal. Not this time, boy.
It was my decision.
And was part of the reason for the separation the two of you having differing views on how to raise your kids as far as within the Jewish faith?
I mean, it was a small part, but it was part of it.
Okay, that seemed to be something that came up a lot in your communication, so that's why I ask about it. What was the difference of opinion on that?
I mean, when we first met and started dating, Danny wasn't as observant or as religious as he became over time. And so the difference in our perspective on raising kids was about dietary choices and attendance at synagogue, things like that.
So in general, he wanted to raise the children more strictly in terms of the faith than you.
That is correct.
Yeah, he wasn't even circumcised until after the children were born. I mean, and he said the Torah is really bad, and he loved shrimp. He would only eat shrimp by the pound every night. And but then after the marriage, it was kosher this and kosher that and synagogue and if we really are honest, and this is Wendy's perspective, not mine or any of our viewers, but if we're really honest, Wendy just didn't want the boys to be like with ringlets and little skull caps and those little waistcoats with long-sleeved white shirts. Is that what Jews wear? I think that's what Jews wear, Hasidic Jews. She just didn't want these sort of, different from all the other kids, the American kids, the cheeseburger kids, and the pepperoni pizza kids. That she just didn't want to be this kind of fringe of society sort of Jew. It's all about the image. She wants the kids head to toe Ralph Lauren, head to toe Dolce Gabbana. I mean, can you imagine how much designer gear was just plastered onto these children?
Did you move out of the marital home while Mr. Markel was away on a business trip?
I did, yes.
All right. And did he know that you were moving out when he left for the business trip?
No, he did not.
Where did you go when you left the marital home?
I rented a home in Tallahassee.
Where was that? Do you remember the address?
Aqua Ridge Way.
3303.
Aqua Ridge Way or Lane? It was Way or Lane. Haven't thought about it in years. Not important to me. My address now is number 1 Miami Road, Miami. which is in downtown Miami.
Do you sound right?
That's right.
Okay. And what was the custody arrangement once you moved out of the marital home?
I mean, in the beginning, until we had a formal custody arrangement, we were just finding ways to share custody. I remember that first weekend his parents came, so I made sure he had the children all weekend while his parents were visiting from Canada. But eventually we had a 50-50 shared.
The 3303 thing, is there some sort of occult relevance to 3? And there are 3 numbers that aren't 0 in 3303, and all of them are 3. So there's 3 3s, and I seem to, somewhere in my subconscious is some kind of relevance to groups of 3 and 3 3. And you could say, well, you're missing the 0. Well, in a lot of concepts, 0 doesn't count because it's nothing, right?
Custody arrangement.
All right. And do you remember exactly what that looked like? Was it week on, week off, or something more complicated?
It was something more complicated. In the summertime, it was week on, week off. During the weeks, it was I think what they called like a 2-2 split, with Wednesday night being an overnight and then the weekends being every other weekend.
All right. But roughly 50-50.
That is complicated, isn't it? I mean, what is that? Is that a common thing? Does anyone have, hey, anyone listening, does anyone have a custody split with an ex-spouse where it's a Wednesday night overnight and alternate weekends? Is that what it was? So let's say week 1 is a Wendy week. So the boys will be staying with Wendy Monday and Tuesday, and then over to Dan's, and then back to Wendy's for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday will be with Dan, and Monday and Tuesday, and then back to Wendy's on Wednesday. This is nuts. What is that? You know, I'm trying to think what I had when I was a child, because my parents split, lived in different homes. And for the first part of that, I primarily lived with my mother. And then after a couple of years, I primarily lived with my dad. So I think it was just like who has them in the week gave them to the other person on the weekend, mostly.
50-50, but that was the split.
Okay. And I want to show you what's been introduced into evidence, State's Exhibit 56. I know you've had a chance to take a look at this before, but if you'll just kind of thumb through it and tell me if you recognize it.
Sure.
Okay, Leslie. So it's confirmed. Wednesday night overnight is not uncommon. Okay. I had primary and split custody. Yeah, week on, week off. I could get that in my head. You know, that would make sense to me.
Do you recognize the exhibit?
I do.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of your divorce file?
It looks like it, yes.
All right. And is it fair to say this was a contentious litigation process that you had with your ex?
It was.
And I want to ask you about a specific filing in there. It's on page begins on page 43, and it's in reference to a filing on January 14th of 2013 where you were looking to relocate with the minor children. Do you recall that particular filing?
I recall the filing. You said 43. I'm not sure oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. On the bottom, there should be page numbers for you.
Yes. Yes, I recognize it.
Okay, and that's the filing in reference to your motion for relocation?
Yes.
Okay, and did you file this motion with the intent to not be successful?
I'm sorry, I don't
It's been
understand the question.
suggested that you never thought that was going to be successful. Did you?
I
Or
think
not?
I thought there was a small chance that it would be successful, but not very likely, no.
Okay, and weren't you thinking, well, maybe Danny would be
Yeah. No, I hired a team of lawyers at $300 an hour each to write this motion and appeal the court, and what? Yeah, I didn't think it would be very likely. And did you see all that like head movement there? What is that? What does that remind us of? If we look, let's just watch it again and see if we can think this crease of a smile. And I don't understand the question. What was the question exactly?
to your motion for relocation?
Yes.
Okay, and did you file this motion with the intent to not be successful?
I'm sorry, I
It's
don't
been
understand the question.
suggested that you never thought that.
So is that a difficult question to understand? Did you file this motion with the intent not to be successful? I guess you could say it's a little confusing. It's kind of a double negative. But it's confusing because that is her story, and her story doesn't make sense. This ain't no slight on Georgia. She's pointing out, Wendy, you're nuts. Get out of here.
Was going to be successful. Did you?
I think
not?
I thought there was a small chance that it would be successful, but not very likely, no.
Okay. And weren't you thinking, well, maybe Danny would be happy working somewhere else because he's mentioned applying elsewhere, so maybe he'll allow the relocation? Were you
Well,
thinking
he
that?
and I talked about the relocation. So when we talked about it, he thought, well, if I can live nearby in Miami, that might work. And then I could commute to FSU. I didn't mean for him to leave FSU, but he wanted to leave FSU at some point. So
Maybe Wendy's lips, you know how she's always doing this like held open mouth thing? This like, when you're a model getting your photo taken, you have to say the word or mouth the word prunes because it makes your lips pout and get held in that photographic way. And that's what Wendy's lips are always doing. But maybe it's because they're so full of chemicals that now they have no gravity and they're just sort of floating around. They're attached to her face like you would attach a boat to a dock, but it just flows where the water goes. And, her lips, maybe they're just flowing like boats.
that
So
was just a matter of time.
So you thought it might be successful?
Sure, I mean, I thought it was possible, but not.
Ever noticed how some people don't seem to age?
I'm in shock. For anyone who hasn't heard about this new
Not likely.
That's a funny advert, commercial, whatever, to pop up just after I said that. Ever notice how some people never seem to age? Wendy's like Benjamin Button. Well, that's what she's trying to do. How's it going to go in jail, Wendy, when you can't get those 93 top-ups of Botox a week, huh? Her face is going to fall off.
All right. And page 46 of that document, paragraph E references the job offer. The wife also desires to relocate to South Florida in order to provide a better quality of life for the children by increasing their access to close family and providing more stability and consistency. Who is the close family in South Florida?
The close family would have been my mom and my dad and my brother.
And which brother is that?
My brother that's here today.
Charlie Adelson?
That's correct.
Okay. What's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Donna.
Donna Adelson?
Yes, that's her name.
What about your dad?
Yeah, my mom's name is Donna, and my dad's name is Blitzen.
My dad's name is Harvey.
And where did Donna and Harvey live back in the time frame between 2012 and 2016?
They lived at the home I grew up in Coral Springs.
And how far do they live away?
Wendy, you're supposed to say they lived at the modest home I grew up in Coral Springs, which is so not Miami. But then they wanted to try living in Miami. They wanted to try living in a luxury, exclusive high-rise, the very tallest one at the very most southern tip of the peninsula of Florida, looking out across the Atlantic and a view of all of the Keys just lined right up. And if they look down, they can see their own institute with their name on it. They were going to try that for a while, but then they might have just gone back to their modest home in moldy old Coral Springs, where I grew up, very simply and humble.
Away from you currently as we sit here today?
Currently, depends on Miami traffic, but anywhere
Oh,
between...
this thing with the traffic, like, what is that? Well, the jury drive and the jury have to wait for red lights. So in order to relate to these jury members, we're going to keep talking about traffic and laugh a little bit about it. Like, well, it depends on Miami traffic because that can get pretty bad.
In 15 minutes and an hour.
Right. And what kind of a relationship do you have with your parents as we sit here today?
I have a good relationship with my parents.
Does she? Or is it just like, put everything through my lawyer, I don't want to talk about the case? Yeah, it's a good relationship. Close knit. Yeah.
Has that always been the case?
I would say so.
Can you describe the relationship that your mom has with your boys?
I think it's very loving. I think she's a very dedicated grandmother.
She spends a lot of time with them, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
And when they were little and you first moved there after Danny's death, how much time was she spending with them?
When I moved there after Danny's death in 2014.
How much time was your mom spending with the boys?
I mean, we were all living together at that point. So, we were spending every day together.
How were your parents employed? Are they retired now?
They're retired now.
What are they retired from?
My dad was a dentist, and my mom used to coordinate, kind of be like an office administrator at his practice.
And did she?
Yeah, she handled all the money, cleaning the money, and making different deposits in different people's names and moving it around in a way that wouldn't attract any attention from the IRS. And it was a full-time occupation for her, moving the money and cleaning the money, sometimes actually with dish soap in a sink.
She write the checks at the practice, paychecks?
Yes. Mm-hmm. She handled all the bookkeeping.
What was the name of the practice?
The name changed over the years, but probably the name when they retired was the Adelson Institute.
And were your parents wealthy at the time that your husband was murdered?
I mean, my parents worked their whole lives to support us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the business did well for a period of time.
About $2 million in profit each year between 2013 and 2016.
They
Sound right?
never talked to me about money, so I have no idea how much the business made at any given point.
Did you discuss your marital problems with your mom at all?
I did, yeah.
Okay. What about the resulting legal issues? Was your mom read in on those things?
I mean, I definitely updated her about the results of the relocation when that petition got denied, but not kind of.
I think this is the first trial where we've got face front cameras of the attorneys. And I just love looking at Georgia while she's looking at Wendy. I would love a photograph of this on my desk in a little frame, you know.
The ins and outs of every part of our divorce.
What about your dad? Was he invested in your divorce status?
I think the same as my mom, just worried about me and worried about the boys.
Mm-hmm. What about your brother? Did he take an interest in the ins and outs of your divorce?
No, not really.
Did he need to protect you from Dan Markel?
No, I mean, I don't think I need protection.
Were you physically in danger from Dan Markel?
No, I wasn't in danger.
Did the litigation revolving around the divorce and the subsequent issues that arose, did that impact your family back in South Florida?
I mean, only to the extent that I think they felt bad for what I was going through, but.
Mm-hmm. I want to show you an exhibit that I've marked as State's Exhibit 59. Sorry, 57, Your Honor. You've seen this one before as well.
Just a quick one, guys, on the production values. How is the audio tonight? Is my microphone roughly the same volume as the video? Because I saw on one of the other streams that the video was very quiet and my voice was very loud. So we're trying to get that normalized and the same level. And also the video, is it jerky? Is it got a good frame rate? You know, we don't have any microphone. We just use the laptop microphone. And the internet is cellular. So it's what we have to work with, guys, but hopefully it's working well tonight.
Does that one look familiar?
I don't remember it, to be honest. It's from 10 years ago.
Take a moment to look through it.
Sure.
Which ones?
When you're done, I'll let opposing counsel take a look at it, but go ahead and let us know when you're done reviewing it.
While she's reviewing, which takes her fucking ages, Remember, guys, you need to subscribe to the channel because we have so much good content coming out. We're just walking right the way through this case, like with a sword, just cutting through the jungle, a machete, just slashing right through. There's video after video after video. It's just nonstop all the way until Donna's trial. And what else have we got coming up this month in 11 days' time? Sarah Boone, the suitcase killer. The whole trial's coming out in 11 days. So we're going to be covering all that live. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share, leave a comment, and help us hit that milestone. I think we've only got about 156 more subscribers to go until we can do memberships. Not that we hope to. It's just feels like an achievement. So subscribe to the channel.
Okay.
Rashbaum's really earning his money there. Look at him thumbing through those documents like a legal lawyer, legal machine, just thoroughly thumbing at a rate of knots. Check that out. Can you thumb through documents that fast? No one can do that like Dan Rashbaum, man. 1, 2, 3, 4. Incredible work. Hand it back. Right. Now, Daniel Rashbaum is one of those guys that you can see how short he is when he's sat in a chair. That is really short. You know, even Tom Cruise or Mel Gibson or who else is really short? Those guys look normal when they sit in a chair. Not our Dan.
All right, are those emails between you and your mother?
Give us some feedback, guys, ladies, whatever. How's the frame rate of the video? And is the audio the same level, the microphone and the video?
I don't think I responded. I think they're just emails from my mom to me. No?
Okay, mostly all from your mom.
Yeah.
Okay, and the email address says, I think it's something like Wendy Harvey. Can you tell from the content that it's your mom typing rather than your dad?
Yeah, the email is Donna Harvey, my two parents' names. So they've been married over 50 years. So they have a joint email address. So it's from both of them.
Okay, so what I want to draw your attention to is page 2.
Okay. Fernie Wings. Welcome, Fernie. Justice is taking too long, possibly white privilege. Well, actually, I don't think so. It is taking a while, but I don't think it's. I think one of the reasons this case is so appealing to so many is because it's a rare occasion when white privilege isn't really coming into the game. This guy, Charlie Adelson, was not able to buy his way out. $1 million for Josh Dubin to come and pick a jury that would be likely to, give him a not guilty verdict, basically. Data science. And, another $1 million for Dan Rashbaum's budget defense, in my opinion. I think he's awful. Terrible. but he's just the kind of slippery guy that the Adelsons love to have. They really believe that's an asset. They're nuts because good old Tallahassee, they don't want to buy that product, man. They just don't like that slick, fast pace, super suave, lawyer Miami, dinner at Matsui, sushi and pizza.
Of that exhibit, that first paragraph.
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention.
There, above the word response. Did you have an opportunity to read that?
I read it real fast,
Kinda
but
scanned.
I can
And,
read it.
and what I want to draw your attention to is specifically the part that reads, your father has made numerous trips by plane for weekends and changing the patient schedules around so he can continue to spend significant time with the children. Did you?
Are you objecting, Mr. Roush?
I just didn't hear it get admitted into evidence.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move this exhibit into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's 57.
That was it? That was worth $1 million? He objects. I didn't hear it getting admitted into evidence. Well, at this time, I admit it into evidence. No objection. I think Charlie kind of rolls his eyes in a second. He drops his mask so often during this, during his sitting in the chair there. Certainly when he's not on the stand. We're gonna get to his testimonies as well. His direct, his cross, his redirect. That's going to be very good value, guys. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Share the channel.
Thank you. So that paragraph, isn't that paragraph going into detail about how the issues surrounding your divorce and litigation is financially impacting in a negative way your parents' business?
That's what my mom says here, yes.
Okay, and it also says, additionally, this loss of income affects my family because my older brother, also a dentist, purchased the practice from my father in mid-July 2012. He has a monthly payment to make to my father based on the sale of the practice. It isn't fair to him to have decreasing monthly income statements from the practice due to my parents spending so much time here in Tallahassee. So this is an argument that your mom is proposing, right, to help you, give you an idea of what might persuade the courts to allow the relocation. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that's what she was doing, yes.
Okay, and she's indicating that both your parents as well as your brother have suffered financially as a result of you not being able to relocate.
Yes.
Okay. And on page...
And, it was Donna that sat with Wendy on J-Date and selected Dan Markel. Harvard-educated law professor with a job at Florida State. Loads of other credentials he had, all of that high academia. And, skip forward, pretty short marriage. I think it was, 6 years they were married. And now she's directing Wendy. She's actually writing in the first person of Wendy to the judge to say, my brother has purchased the practice from my dad, and it isn't fair to him to have decreasing monthly statements. And it's like, what were those decreases? Oh, he should be making $200,000 a month, but now he's only making $199,070. Big hardship. I can just imagine Judge Hobbs getting the email and saying, well, obviously you better convert the children to Christianity.
Do you have page numbers in the bottom right corner of your exhibit?
I have them in the top so I can see.
Okay, so well, let me look. Give me a moment. So it'll be the second email in your packet, page 1 of 3.
Okay,
Do you see that?
I see that page.
Okay, and there's a rest of your life highlighted or underlined in the center and in bold. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, right before that, it reads, however, the rest of your life and consequently Dad's, mine, and yes, even Charlie's will be affected by how well you can perform/act before July 31st. You need to be a good actress you can be a good actress when you want to. I've seen you in action. You need to put on the performance.
Isn't that all so embarrassing? You can be a good actress when you want to. I've seen you in action. And, what is she meaning by that? She's not talking about the Christmas play in 8th grade, She's talking about putting on this con job, basically, this slippery, dodgy deal, and they just can't get enough of it, can they? Shamelessly, I mean, most people that operate that way discuss it using language that retains some humanity, like, oh, that time when you talked your way around that problem, not, yeah, these suckers, we're gonna con them all. It's like, oh.
Of your life. Jibbers hasn't beaten the Adelson family yet. Who's Jibbers?
Jibbers, she's referring to Danny.
And was Jibbers a name he went by or just something you called him behind his back?
Jibbers was a silly nickname that I gave him during the divorce proceeding.
Yeah, he went by Jibbers all the time. He'd walk into the synagogue and the whole congregation would turn around in their seats and say, "Hey, Jibbers!" And then Rabbi Schnoyer Eurichman would say, "Hey, Jibbers, come and sit right up front, Jibbers."
When he was being pretty scary and threatening, and it kind of made me feel less scared of him.
Okay, so not something you called him to his face.
No.
But that was a word that was only used to describe him.
Yes, it was a nickname.
Okay. So in this, again, your mom is referencing how everyone's life is being affected by this relocation, including your brother, Charlie. Do you agree with that?
That is what she said, yes.
All right. Is your mom overprotective of you?
Yes.
All right. And is it fair to say she's, a little on the control?
That was actually quite a good answer. In terms of her delivering speech that to the jury isn't completely horrifying, and it was quite human the way she answered that. Let's see it again. Is your mother overprotective of you? And she did. It was quite a comedic little answer there.
Yes.
All right. All right. Is your mom overprotective of you?
Yes.
All right. And is it fair to say she's, a little on the controlling side?
I don't think she's controlling, but she's definitely overprotective.
Did she ever try to micromanage your life?
Maybe, yeah.
Did she have an interest in who you were dating and who you weren't dating and who you should be dating when you were single?
I think she was usually disappointed that I wasn't dating more.
Okay.
I was so busy with the boys. I don't know what a date is.
For example, isn't it true that she would like not let you drive to and from Tallahassee to South Florida?
Well, I used to drive before I had the boys, but they were young and she preferred to come with me and give me some extra support.
So what would that look like if you were going to take a trip to South Florida? Would they come up here and get you, or?
Hey, Ian, love this comment, man. Charlie has the complexion of gray wastewater. Yeah, it's like someone has just pulled up in an RV, and they've been out for 3 months. You know, national parks, on the road. They pull up to the waste point and just get that big hose to come out of the wastewater and just let it rip down the drain. And it's just the color of Charlie Adelson's face. Look at that color. That is the exact color.
No, sometimes I would go myself with the kids, but I was breastfeeding both of them. So it usually looked like me breastfeeding a child while I entertained the other in the Okahumpka rest stop. So
Okay.
it was a lot. It was helpful to have some backup.
All right. And so that time frame you'd be referencing is like the 2013 time frame, because not around the time of Danny's death, you wouldn't have still been breastfeeding, would you?
If Lincoln was 3, no, I would have stopped maybe the year before.
Okay.
So maybe
was it
2012, 2013.
Okay. And wasn't it true that around the time of the death, they were still doing this practice where they would prefer to drive you to and from South Florida?
I mean, not every time, but sometimes.
Okay. And would your mom sometimes enlist your brother Charlie to convince you to do certain things in your personal life?
Can't really think of an example of that.
Well, dating Dave was a big one on some of the materials I had.
Yeah, people like Dave.
All right. And your mom really liked Dave.
Yeah, everyone liked Dave, but we were just friends.
Okay. Did she try? So she would try to get Charlie to convince you to date a certain person.
I don't think she was getting Charlie to convince me to date Dave. I think everyone liked.
I think we've got to do a deep dive on this Dave guy. I've heard bits about him here and there. You know, I'm building up a picture in my mind, but super relevant. I mean, as a background, as a setting, right? This Dave guy, you know, it's Bree's boss, basically. Bree's the nanny to Dave's kids, and then became the mother to Charlie's son. And everyone's saying, "Oh, Wendy," you know, when Charlie's on about Dave, he's like, he's a really nice guy. Not only is he super successful, but he's really laid back, t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. You know, not like that weirdo Markel who would wear a tie to bed. Yeah. Like a full suit with tie and brokers were his pajamas, Professor Markel.
Like Dave.
All right. And would she try to get Charlie to convince you to do certain things as far as your professional life? What jobs to take?
No, I don't
She
think
didn't
so.
do that. Would she try to get Charlie to do certain things like advise you on investment decisions, whether or not you were going to buy a house, for example?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. Danny and I made that decision together.
Once
Not that house, Wendy. Not that house.
you had left Dan and you were living separately, did you look into purchasing a home here in Tallahassee?
I did, yeah.
And did your brother Charlie convince you not to do that?
I don't remember him convincing me not to. The only reason why I didn't was because I was waiting on the money from Danny from the settlement and he didn't pay it, so I couldn't afford the house.
And your mom didn't want you to buy the house, did she?
That's not true. My parents were looking to buy a house in Tallahassee.
So the money she's talking about from the settlement is the money that she was demanding from Dan. Alimony, child support, basically 90% of his income for the rest of his life. And before it's gone through the courts and ruled on by a judge, she's out house shopping. And I'd love to see if she's describing it as a dream house in Tallahassee, which, you know, I thought those two terms were completely mutually exclusive. How could there be any dream house in Tallahassee? You know, I'd imagine that it was a full-on house with an atrium and a great room and, you know, 3 different dining rooms. And what do you call it? Something else, you know, all those architectural features that only happen to millionaires.
Tallahassee as well.
Okay. Did you have strike? Generally speaking, does your mom manipulate the personal lives of her children?
No.
Is your mom, like, if she's really upset about something or worked up about something, is that something that your brother Charlie is going to hear a lot about? Who's going to hear more of it, you or Charlie?
Well, if my mom's upset with me, probably Charlie. And if she's upset with Charlie, probably me.
Okay, so do you get a lot of that? Do you hear a lot about?
Well, if I've been bad, like if I've taken the last piece of cake out of the fridge, she'll call Charlie up and say, "Oh, that Wendy's been so bad." And if Charlie drops his cell phone into a patient's mouth, she'll call me up and say, "Oh, that Charlie's been so bad." It's just like pathetic.
Oh, let's go back. Let's go to before the murder. Did you get a lot of Donna just giving you an ear?
This sideways thing with Wendy's head, right? There's been a lot of chatter about on the internet about it being part of a suggestive, I don't mean sexually, I just mean in general, like suggestive posture, an influence thing. It's not just about tilting your head and looking pretty. It's about asymmetry. And if you think about it, when something's not lined up right, it's harder to see, you know? If you see a silhouette and it's the figure of a man, you recognize it as a man. But if it's leaning over in a weird way and the silhouette isn't as impactful as a figure of a man, you might not know what it is. You know, that's kind of a microcosm of what I'm saying. So when you tilt your head in this way and hold it over here, it's like you forget almost a part of your brain forgets that you're looking at a person. And I think that this stupid, horrible, ugly dress, top, whatever thing that she's wearing with this V that goes down to the side, that's awful, that's even worse than that suit she wore for the last 2 trials, is purposely selected to be this asymmetry thing. It's like camouflage. Why do the military wear camouflage? Because they're harder to see. They blend in. It's funny shape. You know, your eyes play tricks on you when something's not, you know, front and center, upright, standing straight. It's all part of the plan. And it might not seem like a lot or like it's going to do much because we're all looking at it and we can see Wendy Adelson on the stand. but little parts of your brain aren't working in the same way as if she was front and center, sat upright, wearing a suit that made sense.
Fearful about what Charlie needs to be doing?
Probably at some point.
What was Charlie doing with his personal life? What did his personal life look like?
At what point?
Hi, Rabbit. How you doing? Maybe you should be our moderator. After the last 2 streams, where I fell asleep, where there was no audio on the bonus features, I was like, we got to get a moderator in here. And Rabbit, everyone introduce Rabbit. She has been one of our, well, just the biggest fan, the biggest contributor, solid information with us right from the beginning, from our very first stream.
Before the murder?
I mean, at what period of time before?
All of them. Wasn't it just a revolving door of girlfriends?
Right, but my mom didn't complain to me about that.
She didn't mind that with him.
I don't understand the question.
She didn't mind if he went from girl to girl to girl. That was acceptable.
She didn't really weigh in on it, no.
Who talked to her more, you or Charlie?
Charlie.
A lot more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time of Dan Markel's murder, were your parents extremely angry with Dan?
At that point, no. They were in a much better place.
I want to direct your attention to an interview that was conducted on, I think this was your law enforcement interview. So July 18th, 2014. And I'm specifically for court and counsel looking at page 27, lines 11 and 12. I've got it open to the page, but you can flip around if you need to familiarize yourself.
Sure.
And I'll take that exhibit if you want.
Do you want me to flip through or just look at this one page?
If you'll just look at that one page for me, not that reminder. 27. Let me get to where you are. So page 27 there, lines 11 and 12, and I've got it highlighted for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Says, Ms. Adelson, my parents are, very angry toward him. Is that true?
Was that
Isn't
true?
that what you said? Your parents were very angry toward Dan.
Can I read the rest of the sentence?
Sure.
So I say, my parents are very angry towards him, but even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father.
And then on page 288, line 24 through page 289, line 1. And that's going to be,
Yeah, Ian. Wendy is so attentive to the folder of her own divorce filing. She pulls cute, crinkly faces, and she calls Dan Danny. She's innocent, guys. Yeah, with this folder thing, where it's her adapter, right? It's that thing you see when she looks back down, when she doesn't want to look at Georgia anymore, because Georgia is giving her the eyes on for Georgia. It's her way of looking away and escaping that moment, but whilst seeming to, be there to help and all of the rest of it, right? But she's handling it in such a way that, like when you go to the National Archives and they actually hand you the original Bill of Rights, and people put those little white gloves on, those dust gloves, so that the damaging oils of your fingers won't ruin the fucking ancient document. That's how she handles the divorce filings. And after the trial, they have to take it away, that huge folder, and put it in this glass chest
Didn't you say, it's like my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else? Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
And that's because he hurt you, right?
And I was saying that in the context of talking to law enforcement for hours and hours and trying to help them figure out who might be responsible.
Right. And who did
Well, that was convincing, wasn't it? Did you see that? Where she goes, I was trying to help them figure out who could do this and whether they were going to come after me. Who's next? Are they going to come after the boys? Oh, look at Wendy. She's getting getting a little flustered there, Wendy, huh? Wide eye Wendy now.
you tell them might be responsible?
Well, I told them many, many people, but are you asking about this particular moment right here?
You told them your family might be responsible.
Or
didn't
potentially
you?
Hmm. someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that.
Okay, there's a little bit of beauty there from Georgia Cappleman that's quite easy to miss. So I'm going to repeat it. But before I do, I just want to say that this is why, Georgia Cappleman is from Tallahassee, representing Tallahassee, knows the people of Tallahassee. She ain't from Miami, and she knows that shit don't fly. So she does these little, well, they're almost like exhale sounds of frustration. When Wendy's like, I told them many people. I said maybe a former student. And Georgia goes, I'm going to exaggerate it so it can be audible. And then we'll play it again. But she goes, so it could be a former student. And Georgia's like, oh. It's like, it's just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, go on. Keep going.
Right here.
You told them your family might be responsible.
Or
didn't
potentially
you?
someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible.
Okay. And of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one.
Yep.
Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. I mean, that's what happened, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
And back to the divorce, the petition where Danny is.
What do you think we're doing here, Wendy? Your brother is right there. We've just read out a ridiculously involved email from your mother saying that you need to con the judge. I mean,
Responding to your petition for the motion to relocate. Are you familiar with that filing, or do you need to take a look at it?
I need to take a look at it.
All right, it's going to be page 79 through 101, and this is back to.
hey, Desperante, Broward County. Okay, tell us, because what's his name? Oh, I forget the number. Is it 533 Camp Street? Or 5? It's like 3 numbers. 533 Camp Street, I think it is. He's saying that Wendy said she's from Broward County because Broward County ain't Miami-Dade and is like, shady or rough or, not a place that you would say you were from and be proud of it, if you know what I mean. So what's it like, Desperante? Is Broward County like a little bit wrong side of the tracks? Is it a bit rough? Is it like, what's it like? Because 531 Camp Street was asking. So maybe we can answer that question for him today if you're from Broward.
Our exhibit 56.
The best prayer to attract wealth begins when you understand that the strongest energy in the universe is not thought.
And again, that was the filing begins on page 79. I'm specifically interested in 82.
Hi, Carrie B. You're not late. You're right on time.
And in this filing, doesn't Mr. Markel say, quote, the husband affirmatively alleges that the wife helped herself to non-marital assets, including money and stocks owned prior to marriage, as well as numerous personal non-marital belongings of the husband, such as luggage, bicycle, tennis racket, and family heirlooms. The wife has refused to return these items or to allow the husband into her home to see what other personal belongings were taken without his permission or acquiescence. So my point is,
You know, I know a little bit about how judges like to read information. And I gotta say that Professor Markel is really good at writing information that judges like to read. That load of shit we heard off Donna earlier about my big brother purchased the practice of my dad, and it isn't fair to him to have decreasing monthly income because of him. My dad is flying to Tallahassee to drive me to Miami. A judge would look at that and be so bored and offended and like, what am I reading this for? But Markel is like the husband, you know, and there's because he doesn't say I or my, the husband, because as the judge is reading it and thinking about it, it's easier for him to digest. It's a story, it's a fact, it's a science. The husband affirmatively alleges, you know, instead of claims or insists or whatever. The husband affirmatively alleges that the wife helped herself to non-marital assets, and it's very, very good. As far as writing something, how judges like to read, the man knows how to do it. But that goes hand in hand with what everyone says about him, which was he was a great legal scholar. The evidence suggests that that is true.
he's accusing you of theft in this paragraph.
Those are the words that are here, yes.
Yeah, and he's very adamantly objecting to your relocation, right? On page 82, it says the sole stated reason the wife seeks to relocate is so that she can be closer to her parents. Was being near your parents the sole reason that you wanted to relocate?
No,
It wasn't the sole reason stated in your petition?
it wasn't the sole reason stated in my petition, and it wasn't the sole reason that he and I talked about before I filed the motion to relocate.
Why was he so adamant and so confident that this was the real reason you wanted to be down there?
I think there's a lot of things in these pleadings that are not true. So just because it says something doesn't make it true.
Sure, but did he know that your mom was just grinding on this issue of trying to get you down there?
He would have had no idea.
He wouldn't have been, that wouldn't have been known to him?
I don't think so.
But he was accusing you in these pleadings of all kind of stuff, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's true, but hiding financial assets, failing to disclose things, kidnapping his kids in the middle of, his business trip, all those sorts of things, right?
Yes, he said lots of things.
All right. And you said a lot of things too. There's filings going both ways that are pretty venomous. Would you agree with that?
I would not agree with that.
Yours were pleasant.
I'm not saying divorce filings are pleasant, but mine were not venomous.
Yeah,
Okay.
not like that weirdo Markel, full of venom, full of horrible venom, like a cobra, just like a loose cobra, a danger to others, with a puffy face, sweaty Markel.
Did your mother, Donna Adelson, review the filing in which Dan Markel is accusing you of this theft and all this stuff?
I don't remember if she did.
What about the one where Dan Markel is asking that your mother not be permitted to have unsupervised visitation with the kids?
My mom never saw that because after he filed that, he then asked my parents to babysit the kids. My mom baked him banana bread, gave him a hug goodbye. So there was nothing truthful about that pleading that he filed. And my mom
100% that was John Laura's idea, or whoever was representing this little banana bread babysitting story. Never happened, isn't provable either way. And you know, the way she delivers it, I mean, the way she delivers everything, right? But I think when this first came out, a lot of people were questioning whether or not that was real. And I'm saying 100%, $1,000 on the table as a bet. No, definitely not. Never happened. Baked in banana bread. Would you eat banana bread made by Donna Adelson? I think banana bread's fantastic. It's amazing what you can do with some old banana. You make some bread out of it. It's like a little cake. It's fantastic. But I wouldn't want to eat any from Donna. You know, what does she cook? You know, I bet she thinks she's fantastic in the kitchen. I bet she's got a $300 wok and, you know, cookbooks. Wok Cooking by Ken Holm. But I can just, you know, imagine how people are really proud of, you know, they go and get a new kitchen. Yeah, that's something that became really, really part of the building blocks of status within my lifetime. I don't think it was a big thing before the mid 80s, even the 90s, you know. But since, you know, the early 2000s and more and more and more, it's an industry that is building all the time. You've got to have a new kitchen. You've got to get, you know, a sub-zero freezer. And I don't know, maybe that's things like that are a bit different in the States. Maybe everybody has a sub-zero freezer. I used to go into shops in England where they would have like American fridges and just look at them like, wow, look at the size of that thing. And you can get ice with like straight from, there's a dispenser. That's incredible. And the doors open double. And yeah, fridges are amazing. But back to the kitchens, you know, kitchens as a status builder, Adelson's being all about status. I can just imagine being the unwitting, you know, sales, what would you call them? Kitchen design consultant sitting down with Donna telling me how she would like, what she would want from her kitchen, what kind of feel she would want from her kitchen, what kind of appliances, because it can get pretty intense. It's like a full architectural plan now. You know, there were buildings, full buildings with less blueprints back in the day, and just someone as controlling and as status orientated as Donna. I'd love to know what their kitchen was like and how their kitchen design consultant felt when the deal had concluded and they were no longer speaking anymore. Done.
Never saw it.
Why do you think he filed that?
He was really angry at me for leaving him.
Okay, so he didn't really want to limit your mom's visitation with the kids.
No.
And
he
that's
asked for her to
evidenced-
babysit after he filed that.
Evidenced by the banana bread. And so she didn't even know about that filing.
She never knew about it.
Okay. And when she laid all those options out in that email to you about other options that you could take to secure the relocation, as far as bribing, remember that? Converting the Christian children to Christianity, remember that suggestion?
I sure do.
Okay. What did she put in there that she viewed as your most non-negotiable and most important part of your divorce?
I don't know. Do you have something I can see?
States Exhibit 57.
Again, so many of her tricks are what you see in a late teen adolescent, I don't know. And then quickly onto a question that would help her know, because that further embellishes that she doesn't currently know. 18-year-olds do this shit all the time, and she's never grown out of it, because no one's ever called her out. Apart from maybe Markel and Jeff Lacasse. You think Daniel Sack ever called her out? I don't think so at all.
And it is page 1. Page 1, paragraph 2.
It's 544 Camp Street, not 533. Hey, Camp, there's someone from Broward on tonight, Broward County, and I've asked them for you. If you're just joining us, Camp, what's Broward like? Is it dodgy? Is it the wrong side of the tracks? Is it like, oh, I'm from Broward County, so I'm not really, What is my name? My name is Frank, boss. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people have to sift through the streams to find that, but you get it for free, my man.
So you want me to read what she said here?
I want you to answer the question. What was the most important part
of the divorce for my mom?
Yes.
It says here that for her, it was relocation.
All right. And did you have 2 8-hour mediations in your divorce?
We had 2 very long mediations. I don't remember exactly how long they were, but they
Did
felt
they?
like
Hey, everybody. If you want to see True Crime Metrix and 544 Camp Street do a collab on the Adelson case and others in the future, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and give us all a thumbs up or something in these stream comments. That'll be great. Show the support. Maybe if we get 10 thumbs up, we'll do a collab, huh?
Result in a resolution?
No.
Was Mr. Markel seeking to depose your mom as part of the divorce?
I don't remember that.
Do you know if it ever happened?
I don't think it happened. I don't remember it.
Was the prospect of that upsetting to your mom?
I don't think so. I don't remember it, so I don't remember talking with her about it or...
Did your mom call Dan any disparaging names around this time frame?
Well, I just read them in the emails, but I
Okay.
don't remember them independently.
Okay. Did she call him an asshole?
Yes.
A narcissist?
Yes.
bully,
Yes.
religious zealot,
Yes.
bastard.
That I don't remember.
Page 5.
Okay.
Did you all see like Charlie's creasing grin start to come out before his facial muscles actually permitted the visual aid there? Well, let's see it again. Did she call him a bastard? A religious zealot?
Yes.
Bully,
Yes.
religious zealot,
Yes.
bastard.
That I don't
Already.
remember.
Page 5.
Okay. Is it page 5 from the first email?
Yes, if you'll just go through by the physical pages.
Again, back to the principal office. Look, and now hide the smirk. Yeah, pull it down. Actually physically pull the smile off your face with your hand so that the principal will think you're really sorry.
I see. Yes.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Yes.
Fucker?
Yes.
Oh my god. This guy is 12-year-old boy, man. Hey dude, it's a first-degree murder trial. If you win, you win. But if you lose, it's jail. Forever. There's no question about that. Forever.
But in all the filings made on your behalf by the different lawyers that you had, and all of the emails that your mom sent, he was never described as abusive.
I mean, he was described as emotionally abusive. Yes.
Can you show me where he was described as emotionally abusive in any of those items?
Well, not by my mom, but in the pleadings.
Okay, show me that.
It's going to take me a while to find it.
Okay, well, it's
You want me to-
not in there, but you can get back to me
Well,
with it.
it is in there.
Objection, Your Honor.
Question, objection.
The comment, she's not testifying.
Hold on, please approve.
I'd love it if Georgia Cappleman said, okay, it's in there. All right, page 1. Read page 1, all of page 1 to the jury right now. Okay, page 2. You see the size of that thing? They'd be there a week. Little posturing going on there. Wendy's like, oh, it is in there. Yeah, I'll find it. It's somewhere in there. It's so in here. It's so in here. And George is like, it's not in there. Let's just say it again.
Was described as emotionally abusive in any of those items?
Well, not by my mom, but in the pleadings.
Okay, show me that.
It's going to take me a while to find it.
Okay, well, it's
You want me
not
to-
in there, but you can get back to me
Well,
with it.
it is in there.
Objection, Your Honor.
Question, objection.
The comment, she's not testifying.
Hold on, please approve.
So would you have to review the whole file in order to find that, or could you just give us a starting point of which filing it might be located in?
It might be under the petition to relocate. It might be under the initial divorce.
Being traumatized is an illness of not feeling fully alive in the present. So the challenge
Proceedings. It wouldn't be in emails from my mom, but it would take a while to find it. It might be in the depositions.
Okay, did you view yourself as being stuck here in Tallahassee once the relocation was denied?
I didn't. I mean, I had a really nice life here. I did not view myself as being stuck.
Would you please turn to page 1?
I had a really nice life here. It was like, Wednesday night overnight and Aqua Ridge Way and, Tallahassee food trucks, the book club, coffee with Daniel Sack at Jeff Lacass's daily coffee shop. It was fantastic. Really nice life, walks with Jane and, Lynn and Alan Grossman would look after the kids for me for free. And
176 in that exhibit in front of you. I think it's highlighted for you. Did you describe yourself in that filing as being stuck in Tallahassee?
I don't see it. You said it was highlighted, but there's nothing highlighted.
Okay. 176 on my page. I didn't highlight it for you. Okay. Just a moment.
I see the word stuck. I found it.
Okay. So did you describe at least in one occasion being stuck in Tallahassee?
No, can I read the sentence?
Sure.
So it says, the husband has made it difficult for the wife with her colleagues at her current position due to his statements and actions. And the husband's intent is to relocate to a larger area at some point. So the wife is merely stuck in Tallahassee until the husband decides that the time is right for him to leave.
All right.
Meaning,
and had he accepted a job anywhere else by the time that he was murdered?
no, he hadn't yet been offered a job, but he was always looking.
Okay. So he was just going to move and just let you have the kids at that point?
He probably would have done what I did, which is have a conversation and see if it was a place that made sense for both of us to live.
And would you have moved to wherever he got a great job and started a new life there?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. Did you like Tallahassee?
Hey, Leo from 544 Camp Street. Have I talked to Fancy Fiction? No, but I have watched her work. It's great stuff, It's fantastic. Love her short form content, love her long form content, particularly. Your channel, my man, and her channel, I just have on the background constantly. Fantastic. Both channels, really good. But Fancy's a bit of a legend certainly among this case. Yeah, she's well known. So, I can't even imagine speaking to someone of that status. I'm amazed that you're on this show. And by the way, guys, we've hit 74 live viewers right now. That's a record for this channel. So super happy about that. Also super happy with all of your very nice comments, not just on the live streams, but just in general. There's loads of really nice comments. When I started this channel, I thought the comments would be less and mainly from people telling me, how much I suck and how much I'm talentless, but actually you've all been very kind. So really appreciate that.
I did.
Oh, and 74 of you, some of you out there that are listening right now have not subscribed to the channel. So why don't you just take a moment, stop the stream, or just hit subscribe, because we are not far from a 500 subscriber milestone, which would be fantastic. And then the next stop, 1,000 people. Wow, what a thing to do. That's fantastic. And the real thanks goes to all of you who are subscribing. Couldn't thank you enough, guys. Back to the video. Roll tape, please.
And you said, I think you did say this, but let me clarify. Was your mom aware of the order denying relocation?
My mom was aware of the order denying relocation.
And what about your brother, Charlie? Was he aware of that as well?
I'm sure my mom would have said something to him.
All right. So did your mom suggest any ways that you might coerce Dan Markel to let you move with the kids to South Florida?
Yes, I think we talked about that before.
We did. And for this, I'm referring back to those emails And in particular, the bribe. So another bribe to get him to allow relocation on page 5 of the first email for the defense. Another bribe to get him to allow relocation should be the offer of plane tickets so that he can fly back and forth, right? So you're going to...
Just to respond to you, Camp. No, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't spoken to Fancy at all. In fact, you know, I've been so busy at the moment. This is a real busy time of year here for my day gig. So literally, I work all day and then I come and do a stream. Apart from last night where I was going to do a stream, but I just crashed out, man. But it does get pretty hot and crispy here in the summer. So hopefully by that time, my work will be over and I will be able to just crawl under a rock and just make content. And when I'm not making the content, we're going to be researching the content, coming up with ideas, coming up with you know, concepts and introducing them and sharing them, discussing them. So subscribe to the channel, y'all. You're not going to want to miss this. Sarah Boone's trial is in 11 days. That's another favorite of mine. And it's been a long time coming. She's been sitting in jail for 5 years. And, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see her defense. We did make some videos on this channel about the Sarah Boone case. But I think we only got halfway through her interrogation. But if you haven't seen those, check them out. I don't know if they're any good or not, but they're there.
potentially offer this big monetary benefit that would allow him to fly back and forth to work. Is that the idea?
I never said that I was going to do any of that.
Okay, was that the idea that your mom had?
That was the idea.
All right, and the amount of the bribe is going to be, or was at least discussed as being $1 million. Is that right?
That is what they said.
Okay, and did you agree with that?
No.
Would that have worked?
I have no idea if it would have worked, but
You think he might have taken $1 million to let his kids go?
Well, he wasn't letting his kids go. He would have moved to South Florida and he would have commuted back and forth to his job. So maybe.
Well, then why wasn't it offered?
Because I didn't want to do it.
All right, what about the idea that you could try to threaten Dan to convert the kids to Christianity so that they can fit into the Bible Belt here in Tallahassee? Is that something your mom suggested in these emails?
My mom did suggest that.
Okay, and specifically, this is on page 7 of the exhibit. Let Jibbers know that your children will be baptized in the Catholic Church. Have a picture made of them in front of the church, all that kind of thing. That's what your mom suggested at one time?
She did, yes.
Okay, and did you do any of those things?
No, I don't even think I responded to it.
Do you know whether the defendant, your brother Charlie, was supportive of the plan to convert them or pose as converting them to Christianity?
I have no idea. I don't think he was particularly involved in this round of my mom's emails.
On page 11 of the exhibit, there's an indication from your mom that Charlie at least has discussed this with her and maybe is somewhat supportive. Charlie brought up a good point when he said that Americans were dropped behind enemy lines during World War II wearing Nazi uniforms to get what they wanted. They had a job to get done and they did what they needed to do to accomplish it. You have a job to get done in a very short time frame to accomplish it. If you dressed your kids up in Hitler Youth uniforms and brought them down here, I could care less if it was an act of defiance.
So, you know, Machiavellian philosophy, in my opinion, gets way too much of a bad rep. it's part of that dark triad of, what is it? Narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. But I have to disagree. There's a book by Robert Greene called The 48 Laws of Power that essentially makes Machiavellian principles digestible for the modern ear. And, within it is a list of 48 laws of power. And they all make sense. I'm just bringing it up because what Charlie's suggestion essentially dumbs down to is the ends justify the means, right? American soldiers were dropped behind enemy lines wearing Nazi uniforms during World War II to get what they wanted. And, you have a job to do and and all this. But I think Machiavellianism in the wrong hands, like in Charlie's hands or Donna's hands, is dangerous. But just a blanket sweep, it gets way too much of a bad rep, in my opinion. But anyway.
That would show Gibbers that he's all caps and bold, not in control. So it just seems like your mom was pretty extreme about this situation of getting you relocated. Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right. And Charlie was at least consulted on it or had offered some information about it.
Well, that was my mom's rendition, so I don't know if that's what actually happened or that was her perception.
Sure. Were you involved in the effort to consult a lawyer about the bribe and whether that was going to be legal?
I wasn't the lawyer consulted in that.
No. Were you involved in consulting a lawyer with your mom? Okay. Do you know for sure if any financial offer was or was not made to Dan Markel?
I couldn't say for sure if they made it to Danny without me knowing, but I don't think so.
Is that something they would do, is try to negotiate with him behind your back or deal with this situation behind your back?
I don't think so. I think I would have known. Danny probably would have told me.
But you definitely didn't extend any of these offers or threats.
No.
When was the divorce final?
The summer of 2013.
All right, I'm going to switch gears for a minute and talk about phone stuff. Was your cell phone collected by the police in this case after Dan was shot?
I gave the police my cell phone and asked them to search it if it could be useful.
All right, and around the time of the murder, was your number 9548?
Yeah, I asked the police to search my phone. I mean, I knew that this was all going down, so I had my phone fully prepped, and the extent of my prepping had been basically since the divorce, because this was really premeditated. So I had the phone completely prepped and wiped and cleaned and developed a pattern of usury, or, well, Freud, come here. Developed a usership pattern, pattern of using your phone, whatever. I signed away all my rights, and I gave them my car and my phone and my laptop, my work laptop, because I wasn't going to need that again. I said, well, this belongs to Florida State University, but I'm never going back. So it's yours now. Speak to the uni.
803-0079.
It was.
And can you agree that the numbers, let me show you an exhibit.
What would your life be like if you were a rapid transformational therapist? So I can give you a glimpse into that life now. You work your own hours. If you have children in school, you work when they're in school. You don't have.
You will? Okay. Well, I want to explain what it is. Okay. Yeah, so I talked a lot about converting to Christianity, but I didn't mention what religion you are. We talked about Dan being more religious than you are, but we didn't talk about what religion you are. So could you explain that to the jury, please?
Sure. I'm Jewish.
And Dan was as well, right?
And Danny was Jewish as well.
Okay. So I had this exhibit 59. This is not 59. Yes, that's what we did. One moment. All right, you may not be able to do this, but states 59, I've got phone numbers attributed to your family members. Obviously, you don't know the other people. Are those phone numbers accurate, if you know, for the time frame around the murder?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then you are also familiar with the wiretap that was conducted in this case?
Yes.
And did I provide you a disc labeled disc 107, ask you to review some calls and see if you could authenticate the voices on those calls?
Yes.
All right, and for that, I made you a little spreadsheet, which I've marked as 61. And were you able to initial by each call indicating that the highlighted names are the voices of the people they purport to be?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I ask written evidence, state 61.
Any objection?
No objection. No.
State 61 is admitted.
All right, and if we can shift back to, we talked about your divorce being final. Once the divorce was final, weren't there still a lot of filings that went back and forth between both you and Dan Markel?
Yes and no. The divorce was final. We had a final settlement agreement.
Mhm.
The agreement was I take my name off the title to the house. He pays me half the value to the house. So for within the first week, I went and took my name off the title to the house, and I waited until October when he was supposed to get back to me. He never paid me the money. And so I called and I asked what happened. That was the deal. And he said, I have compelling reasons. I'm not going to pay you. And so I made one filing, a motion to enforce the settlement agreement because he didn't do it.
Right. So you believe that he owed you money pursuant to the settlement agreement. He was in violation of the settlement agreement.
Yes.
Can you imagine the nerve of that greedy Markel? She just, within 1 week, she took her name off the title to the house. And, what? He had until October to pay the money and then didn't pay and then filed a motion. We're going to have to get this guy. What do you think, Soap? We're going to hit him. We are going to hit him home. We're going to hit him hard. Hit him where he lives. We're going to make him pay.
He was of the belief that you had withheld some financial things from your affidavit, and maybe he didn't owe you the money that you had previously agreed on because you had not been honest in the initial disclosures, right?
He accused my attorney of having unclean hands and committing a crime.
Unclean hands? What, like yours when they swabbed you for gunshot residue?
Yeah, and assisting you in withholding this money from the disclosures. Okay. All right, so I want to ask you about the...
Hey, Susan Phillips, I know you. You make great content. Yeah, I've really been enjoying your Sarah Boone coverage recently. Not so recently, but in the last few months. Great. I think it's you. I can only see a tiny picture, but yeah, that looks like you. And Susan Phillips sounds familiar. Sarah Boone coming up 13th of May, huh? Looking forward to it. Racia.
The motion to enforce marital settlement agreement and hold Dan Markel in contempt of court. That was filed, you may need to refresh your memory, October 31st, 2013. Give you the exhibit 56 and have you take a look at, this is going to be on 338.
Yeah, Rabbit, what do you mean? Look, Rashbaum didn't have any time to help Charlie prepare for his appeal or get him settled into his prison bed or anything. He was very busy after the trial. He had a very limited time frame to just like load all the cash into his trunk, and then he had to get back to Miami ASAP, like yesterday. He's a busy man.
All right, could you just read the title, the caption of that filing?
Motion to enforce marital settlement agreement and to show cause why the former husband should not be held in contempt of court.
What does it mean to be held in contempt of court?
It means not to be doing what the court has asked you to do.
What can happen to you if you're held in contempt of court?
I don't know, really.
Could you be jailed?
I don't know.
All right. And when was this file? This was you filing it, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I could be jailed for being held in contempt, like that weirdo Markel was accusing me of. So how could that be a motive? If I didn't know, how could it be a motive? It wasn't.
I mean, you're the client.
Right.
You're asking that he be held in contempt. And
I
you don't know
filed
what
this.
that means?
I mean, at the time I filed, which was 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. We'll refresh your recollection with the
Okay.
document. Goes through 340.
Okay.
Stephanie Lazarus. It was a million years. Oh, gee. Oh, gee. God. I don't know. It was a million years ago. Let's see. We were at UCLA. In the dorms. I had a friend named Schmieder, and I'll check my pictures. Hey Scott, why is Scott Sharp? I know he's just had a baby, but Scott Sharp, we would have thought you'd be here by now, man. This is a great place to be. Ask anybody.
Okay. I have it.
Okay. So what was it you were asking for in this motion?
It was what I just mentioned. So basically, I took my name off the title to the house. He never paid. This was asking him to pay.
Cough up the money or be held in contempt?
Yep.
Okay. And what day was this filed?
This was filed on October 31st, 2013.
All right. So Halloween of 13, and that's the same day that you backed out of the contract to purchase the house in Tallahassee, right?
I don't
You remember
remember
that?
what day that was.
Okay. Do you remember that it was your brother, Charlie, that specifically convinced you to back out of that particular house deal?
I don't actually. I don't remember that.
Approach and see if these text messages refresh your recollection. Okay. And you may have to look around for context, but I'm specifically looking at this one.
Okay. Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Honestly, I mean, I can read what's here, but I still don't remember.
Don't
it
really
independently.
remember. And after pulling the plug on the house, there were some emails where you were saying you can't answer the phone, you're crying too hard about the house. Like you seem genuinely upset about pulling the plug on the house, but now you don't remember it?
Well, it's been 10 years.
Sure.
So a lot of terrible things have happened since then. It's hard to remember.
Don't recall.
I really liked the house and was excited about it, but it was more than I can afford.
Yeah, a lot of terrible things have happened since then. Like, it was really tough when when the bump happened and we got confirmed that the FBI were on our trail, and Ben and Lincoln have been showing some signs that they think something is up for quite a while now. And all the ridicule that I received when I went to my own son's bar mitzvah as a stripper. A lot of terrible things have happened since the house. And
Board at the time. That's what I remember, is talking with the real estate agent and having her say we'd find another house, and it wasn't the right one.
Would you have any reason to dispute that?
We did. I just don't remember.
Okay. And then a few months later, on February 14th of 2014, there was another filing. I want to draw your attention to page 379. And ask you what that document is.
Do you want me to read the title of the document?
Yes, please.
Former husband's counter motion to enforce marital settlement agreements, financial provisions, and incorporated motion for sanctions.
Do you remember this filing?
I don't remember this filing, but in anticipation of my testimony today, I refreshed and reread it.
Okay. And he accuses you in this filing of
I stepped into the memory machine and I was zapped by Dr. Zapp, and my memory was refreshed. In anticipation for my testimony today, the memory machine got me again. Hey guys, we are at 81 viewers. We're not quitting till we hit 100. And all of you guys, I know some of you guys aren't subscribed. You hit that subscribe button right now, or the Adelson family are coming to your garage. They're going to send some Cubans or some no-nonsense rabbis to get you
Of breaching the marital settlement agreement in various ways, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And committing a fraud upon the court by omitting the $200,000 in assets from your financial affidavit.
That is
in
what he
there?
was alleging.
And ask the court to sanction you.
Yes, that's what he
And-
said.
Okay. So again, you're both seeking the court to sanction each other. I mean, them's fighting words and lawyer terms, right?
Well, I was filing a motion to enforce a settlement agreement. So I don't think that's really fighting words. That's just asking the court to complete what it already said it wanted to do.
Okay. And on page 379,
Hey Rabbit, yeah, we got a few Aussie bodies coming up from down under, and yeah, it's a global platform now, guys. We got Sweden. I was checking out the stats in the YouTube studio the other day, and a certain percentage are translating these videos into Icelandic subtitles. Huh. That's pretty nuts. Yeah. So yeah, that's great.
Dan suggests that the court send a strong message about your malfeasance by awarding him the entirety of the undisclosed assets of over $200,000, right?
That is what he asked for.
Okay, and then on March 10th of 2014, on page 437, do you respond with your motion to dismiss the former husband's counter motion to enforce the marital settlement agreement that we just talked about?
I'm sorry, what is the page number?
437.
I'm not familiar with this, but do you want me to read through it?
Could you read the caption aloud, please?
Sure. Motion to dismiss the former husband's counter motion to enforce marital settlement agreements financial provisions, an incorporated motion for sanctions for failure to state a cause of action, and motion to strike as a sham pleading, and motion to strike as redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous pleading.
And then if you'll go to page 439.
You see, who wrote that? That was too much. All of those words essentially mean the same thing. I know they don't really, but in this context, what was it? Impertinent, scandalous, and let's just play it again a second.
Sham pleading and motion to strike as redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous pleading.
Redundant, immaterial, well, they're synonymous. Not needed, made of nothing. Redundant, not needed. Immaterial, made of nothing. Scandalous, false, and impertinent. Well, that just means impertinent, irrelevant, nothing to do with anything. You know, judges don't like to read that kind of repetitive. I know in the writer's mind. I hope I'm not bombing Markel here. I hope that was written by an Adelson because it's not good. You know, judges don't like that. Just it's like, okay, one word will do, so just use one word. You know, when people write like that, in their mind, they're imagining saying it like they're speaking to a crowd, like the impertinent, scandalous, you know, building the crescendo, you know, like an orchestra, but it just doesn't work like that. When someone is sitting in a leather desk chair on a huge mahogany desk with one of those nice, you know, writing pads, perusing this document, they don't build in their head. They just go, okay, the impertinent, scandalous, immaterial, irrelevant, redundant filing. Okay, whatever.
And then if you'll go to page 439, do you see a paragraph that begins, the vast majority of the former husband's motion?
Actually, don't see that. On page 439?
Yes, ma'am. I think I have it.
Retail business? This 80-second video is about to completely change the way you work. Ready?
Hold on.
On number 8.
Yeah, the vast majority of the former husband's motion contains allegations that are redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous. Yada, yada. He's making false and immaterial statements against you. His pleadings only prove that he is a disgruntled former husband who cannot move past this disillusion. So it's getting personal. Would you agree with that?
My attorney here is responding to his pleading, which was over the top.
And this is over the top, right?
I don't think so, no.
Then 6 days later, Dan files another motion seeking action against your mother. And that's the one we've already touched on. That's page 441. Is that right?
Page 441.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's what we talked about.
Okay. Former husband's counter motion for enforcement of marital settlement agreement on parenting issues and motion for contempt and sanctions. Here he's alleging, again, more violations of the marital settlement agreement, including communication between he and the boys. He wasn't happy with how much communication was happening, failing to keep him informed of where his kids are, failure to communicate about parenting decisions like the kids' schooling, diet, and extracurricular activities, and refusal to provide him access to the kids on their birthdays. So he's complaining about a lot of things associated with this, not just money stuff, it's parenting stuff too, right?
That's right.
And isn't it in this motion that, yes, sir.
Oh, I said that's right.
Isn't it in this motion that Dan Markel seeks to enjoin you from allowing your mother from spending time with the kids without supervision?
Can you please show me which page that's on?
450. Do you see a paragraph beginning on 3 specific occasions?
Hey, my crazy nan. No, I care. I care. Look, I love Australians. You know, if God didn't have a sense of humor, he wouldn't have invented you people. Welcome, my crazy nan.
Yes, I do.
Could you read that, please?
8A, on 3 specific occasions in November 2013, the children informed Mr. Markel, Abba, Dad, Grandma says you're stupid. When queried as to why Grandma, the maternal grandmother, would say such things, the children replied jointly that it is because she says you are trying to take her sunshines away from her.
And continue, please.
In December 2013,
you don't have to say the name.
Yeah.
Your child.
My child, the younger son, further stated to Mr. Markel in front of the former wife, Abba, Grandma says she hates you. The children were visiting with their grandparents at that time.
Mr. Markel is concerned that continued exposure to such negativity forms a foundation for parental alienation. Is that what he was alleging about your mom?
That is what he is alleging in this document, yes.
And this was filed in court.
He filed this in court.
On what date?
It will be at the front of the document, right?
Yes, ma'am. Page 441.
This was filed on March 26th, 2014.
And this was the filing that never got ruled on, right?
I don't believe there was any ruling on this.
And that's because Dan Markel was killed before the hearing, right?
I don't know when it was scheduled for.
It wasn't even scheduled yet.
Okay.
It was waiting to be scheduled when he was killed. Is it fair to say your mom was worried about this motion?
No, my mom never knew about this motion. And as I mentioned before, Danny asked my mom to babysit after filing this motion. So I don't really believe anything that's written here.
Well, you forwarded.
Yeah. And then Donna showed up at his house and forced an entire loaf of banana bread down his mouth, held his nose closed until he swallowed it whole. You know?
Did this motion to your mother.
I don't believe I
via
did.
email. In fact, you forwarded this motion to 12 different people. Your mom, Jeffrey Lacoste, Renee Griggs, Tova Walsh, Morgan Honeycutt, Gary Cohen, Miguel Edmondson, Trey Hubler, Robert Adelson, Rachel Frank, Jared Reich, and some MEHULNYC at yahoo.com. So if you weren't worried about this, why'd you send it to all these people?
I couldn't really say. It's been a long time.
And then a couple days later, we know what happened.
What is the answer to that? And Georgia knows when she's got a great question, and that was one of them. You know, and having the ability to read out the names is great too, you know. So if you weren't worried about this, why'd you send it to all these people? And a couple of days later, we know what happened.
So this was in March. So a couple days, I sent it to people in July when Danny was killed.
You sent it a couple days later.
I sent
that email to 12 different people.
In March.
Yes.
Cappleman, you can.
I hate to say it, but was that a little slip by Georgia there? You know, clearly she was saying originally, and a couple of days later, we know what happened. Like Markel got his chin blown off. But that wasn't the case. Wendy sent it a couple of days after something. I don't know what it was. I must have not been paying attention.
Resume your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to talk a little bit about your brother, Charlie. Is he an older brother or a younger brother to you?
I'm the youngest of 3, so I have 2 older brothers. They're both older than me.
All right, and he's the middle child, Charlie?
That's right.
All right, and are you closer to Charlie or to the other brother?
I'm closer to Charlie.
How much time were you spending with Charlie back in 2013 and 2014?
Not a lot of time. I was in Tallahassee. He was in South Florida.
Did he work a lot?
He worked a lot, yeah.
Did he work at one location or travel around?
He would travel around. He worked at multiple locations.
Was he pretty successful in his job?
Yeah, he came up with a great business model for what he did, and he worked really hard and was very successful.
Was your brother known to carry?
No, he came up with a great business model. No overheads. Spent most of the day in his Ferrari or eating lunch in a restaurant that had tablecloths, and he would harass women, you know, all the time, and he'd arrive at the dentist's other dentist's office, use all their materials, have his clients pay him in cash, and then offer money laundering services to his other crooked dentist friends. So it was a great business model. It was called Clean Teeth, Clean Money.
A lot of cash.
I know, I mean, he had cash on him sometimes. I never saw large sums of cash.
Did you ever see stapled cash?
I never saw stapled cash.
Were you familiar with his practice of stapling cash together in stacks?
No, I never knew about that.
Was your brother Charlie protective of you?
I mean, when I was a little kid.
What
yeah.
about as an adult?
As an adult? I mean, not particularly.
You know, I don't know how often it happens for other people, but it's not incredibly often that I hold 1,000 euros in my hand. It does happen from time to time. And it feels all right. It's okay. It's a big wad of cash. But stapling it all together. So, Junon Chinder said it's just dollars to him. I mean, if there were legal tender, $10,000 bills, that's all he would want to use. Yeah.
Is it fair to say that during the year or so leading up to the murder of Dan Markel that your brother did not like your ex?
I mean, I don't think he probably didn't like him, but I also think he didn't spend a lot of time thinking about him.
Did he ever like him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got along fine.
Did your brother ever mention hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel?
No.
I'm going to turn your attention to your law enforcement interview, and I'm referring to page 25, lines 13 through 15. Send me under tab 1. So this tab here.
Okay.
All right, so page 25. Did you find it?
Yes.
Quote, "It was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV." Is that what he said?
That was a joke that he made, yes.
And hiring the hitman, that was to kill Dan Markel, right? That was the joke.
That was the joke that he made in poor taste, yes.
Not to kill someone else.
No. Well, he never used his name.
Okay. Yeah, he used the name. It could have been Markel, or it could have been Daniel Sack or Jeff Lacasse. We don't know. We just don't know. Oh, I think we're going to have to... I just went through the thumbnails, guys. There's about 45 minutes left of Georgia's direct here. Oh, I guess we'll give it another 12 minutes. And that'll be 2.5 hours. And then we've got to wrap it up for the night, guys. But we're coming back for part 2. Georgia Cappleman, direct examination of Wendy Adelson, testimony 2023 in Charlie Adelson's trial. So make sure you all of you subscribe to the channel.
Okay. Well, he's hiring you the TV because it's cheaper as a divorce present than a hitman. Who else would he be hitting with the hitman?
I never really thought about it because it was not a thing that he meant. He just made a bad joke.
Well, you repeated the joke, didn't you?
He repeated the joke.
Didn't you also repeat the joke?
To other people?
Yes, like Jeff Lacasse.
I never said that to Jeff Lacasse.
You didn't tell Jeff Lacasse that your brother got you that TV?
Who is Jeff Lacasse? I could only have my memory refreshed of 19 items of evidence, and Jeff Lacasse was definitely not one of them. So who is this guy? You mean that guy with the red puffy face who came in and he was all sweaty and he didn't listen?
TV as a divorce present because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
I may have repeated that joke in the context of the TV, yes.
All right, and who is Jeff Lacasse?
Jeff Lacasse was a person I dated in 2013.
And did you tell Jeffrey Lacasse shortly before the actual murder that your brother really had looked into hiring a hitman?
I did not.
Did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
Did my brother buy me a TV as a divorce present?
Yes, sorry, I should have clarified that. And was the TV that your brother bought you as a divorce present the same TV that was being repaired on the morning of the murder?
Yes.
Did your mom text you that morning that the repair guy was coming to repair the TV?
I don't remember that.
Why would your mom have been involved in your TV repair appointment?
Because I didn't purchase the TV. The TV was a gift that my brother paid for. But
Hey, Rabbit says, in her opinion, it was the mother Donna who stapled the cash. Well, I don't know, Rabbit. I seem to remember when Patrick Sanford and the lady cop who took over from Isom, I forget her name right now, when they excuse me, when they spoke to June Umchinder in that recorded interview, June was talking about Charlie stapling cash. I think he did that as a practice. I can totally see him doing that and ironing his money, which I have actually done. But that was just because I saw it in a Robert Mitchum movie. I think it was Macau.
my mom went and got it and he reimbursed her. So the contract would have been under her name and her number. So when the repair guy was coming, they may have called or texted the number on the account instead of my number.
Okay. And after the murder, do you recall going to a dinner where you got sick at the table?
It was about a month later. And yes, I remember.
Where did that dinner occur? Was that here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in Miami.
All right. And was it like out at a restaurant?
It was at a restaurant.
Oh, okay. Good point, Rabbit. So if he did have stapled money, that he was using, that was his allowance from Donna when she was putting money in the safe, like we heard Harvey say, we put 25 grand in the safe or something. Okay. Yeah. But he still loved it.
Restaurant.
All right. And when we say you got sick at the table, did you actually vomit at the table?
I threw up at the table.
All right. And did you ever hear your brother refer to that particular dinner as a celebratory dinner?
No.
Did you tell Jeffrey Lacoste that your brother called that a celebratory dinner?
I did not.
Was that a...
One moment, Ms. Cappleman.
Yes, sir.
Objection.
Hearsay.
Overruled.
Was that dinner a celebration of the murder?
That look from Charlie there was just like, listen, buddy, you're costing me $1 million in counting, and that was it? That's been like his second objection the whole hour already and 7 minutes. Charlie's just like, man, what are you doing? You didn't even do a speaking objection. You stood up, folded your arms, and smirked at the judge. Hearsay. That's the only one I know.
Of your ex-husband?
Absolutely not. That dinner was the first time I left my house after over a month because I was terrified. And if it was a celebration of anything, it was a celebration that I was willing to leave the house and eat a meal.
Do you know Catherine McVanoa, or have you ever met her?
I have met her.
Yeah, so let's go and eat a meal, and then because we're eating a meal, we will celebrate the fact that I'm eating a meal by eating a meal. I mean, that's almost like a Zen riddle. You know, it just goes round and round like a snake eating its own tail. That's cosmic, man. Wow. She blows my mind.
Did you have an independent friendship with her, or did you only know her through your brother?
I only knew her through my brother.
What was her relationship to your brother?
They dated at some point.
Was there anything unusual about her as a girlfriend from your viewpoint at the time?
No.
So she seemed like a typical kind of girl that he would date?
She did.
Did you meet all his girlfriends?
I don't know. I met
Typical Asian, young, and superficial, really into brands and iPhones.
many girlfriends.
Okay. Did you meet Whitney Kick?
I did.
Okay. And Whitney Kick was after Catherine Magbanua, correct?
I believe so.
All right. And there's a photograph, I'm sure you recall, of you on the beach with Catherine Magbanua. Do you recall when that photo was taken?
I do. It was Father's Day 2014, so 9 years ago.
June 15th of 2014?
That sounds right.
So about a month before the murder?
That sounds right.
Where was this photo taken?
Before I joined DNS, I was involved in a range of different activities and projects, from volunteering overseas to au pairing.
It was in Miami. I went down to visit my dad for Father's Day.
Approaching and showing you what I've marked as states 35. Is this that photograph? And I've attached the data associated with it.
Yes.
Okay. Is fair and accurate copy of that photograph?
Yes.
Judge, I'd ask to move into evidence states 35.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 35 is admitted.
Permission to publish?
Denied.
Publish 35. Can you oh, yeah. All right, is that you in the center?
That's me.
Which one's Catherine Magbanua?
Hey, did you all see Grish's video where he he broke down this picture? He zoomed right into that credit card, and I was able to identify a W where, about where the name would be. It's really pixelated because it's not a high resolution picture. It's kind of dark, but it was definitely a W. Even though the credit card is on the side of the picture of Catherine Magbanua. And then he did this whole thing with the angle of the sun and the position of the umbrellas and that beach hut thing behind them, and did a pretty convincing job on pinpointing the beach on a Google Earth, the spot on the beach. And there was also this great bit of evidence of how it's a photo not taken by anyone, but put on a timer. It was very compelling. Very good. Grish, if you're out there, that was fantastic, man. And I always thought this might be not taken by anyone. Like it's just them three at the beach, right? Not Charlie there taking the picture. There's something about just the way that they're posing. Someone has reached out and put the phone on a timer. Really good video by Grish. If y'all haven't seen that, go and check out Grish's channel. I think it's Grisch. Very good.
The one on the left, our left in the picture.
How long had Ms. Magbanua been dating your brother at the time this photo was taken?
I have no idea.
How many times had you met Ms. Magbanua at the time this was taken?
I think once before.
Okay, how many times did you hang out with her total?
Just these 2 times. once at the dinner when I met her, and then once at the beach for an hour.
Was the relationship between your brother and Catherine Benoit serious, if you know?
I don't know. I mean, 10 years ago, was it serious? Not too serious.
It never stood out to you during that time frame as like, oh, this is the one.
No.
All right, so you mentioned you thought Whitney Kick was after Catherine McBanoa. What about June Mchinda? Do you know which one that is?
When you say, do I know which one that is? She's not in the picture.
No, ma'am. You're one of your brother's girlfriends, June Mchinda. Do you know her?
I met someone named June.
Okay.
I love how Georgia says, no, ma'am. You know, like I say, she's let her niceties fall away. That no, ma'am is born out of frustration, as if to say, listen, you fucking lying sack of potatoes. I know that you weren't confused and thinking I meant that Whitney Cake was in the picture. So stop playing, yeah? No, ma'am. We're not playing your game. This is Tallahassee. You're in my town, and answer the friggin' question. Really turning up the heat. Listen, guys, I don't think I can do another even to Rashbaum's Cross. That's another 45 minutes. That's a bit much. And I don't think anyone wants a stream that long, even though we do them sometimes. But over here in Portugal, it is 10 to 1 in the morning, and I'm starting work at 6. Well, I'm up at 6. Start at 7. So we're going to close it down. But hey, great viewers tonight. Great comments. So glad to see some of my favorite guys to watch here as well. 544 Camp Street. We got Susan Phillips in the house. It's very touching, really. And Rabbit and Udi, who have been here since day one, chiming in, representing. Guys, you're both getting, when we launch the merch, we're going to find a way to sort you guys out, man. Rabbit, Udi, resident commenters. Yeah, that was, you know, I think we're coming to the end of the Wendy Adelson testimony series for now. Of course, we'll be adding to that a little later in the year with Donna's trial, and then hopefully her own. That'll be good. Yeah, after this, I think we might go and start having a little look at we could go and do some Rashbaum or maybe June Mchinda. That should be very good value. She's got some fantastic moments. Okay, guys. Anything else I wanted to say? Subscribe to the channel and production values. Hopefully they were a little bit better tonight. We're trying to normalize the audio between the microphone and the stream video, the testimony, the court video. So hopefully that was a bit better. And we'll be getting a microphone soon. If anyone knows a good microphone for about, I don't know, maybe €100 or bucks, dollars, whatever, let me know. Because I don't know, there's so I don't want to buy the wrong one, you know. If anyone knows a good one that's like reasonably affordable, I'd love to know about it. And yeah, thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow. Top of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Yeah, we'll probably be live from about 5:15 Eastern Standard. I mean, that really is as late as we can start. Most of our audience, of course, is in the US. God knows what time it is in Australia right now. Do they even have clocks down there? Are they upside down? Do they go backwards? What's going on? The toilets flush all strange. We know that from The Simpsons. Okay. Yeah. Gotta leave it there, guys. Okay. Over and out. Love you all. Bye. Oh, let's just put on these comments. Why not? See you later, Kerry. Nice to see you. Rabbit, goodbye. YouTube reply. See you later. Yeah, and we got to get fancy. We got to get fancy to come on the show. At least into the comment section, hey? Okay. 2 hours 35. Catch you later, guys. Bye.